All right, I'm going to run and use the restroom, but you guys can start.
Okay.
I'm going to wait for you to leave. I'm going to wait for you to leave, Jeremy. Just because it's going to be the tiniest bit distracting. Okay, everyone. Hey, everyone. This is Zachariah Duran. I'm here with my co-host,
Nathan Shear.
Okay, and I'm talking a little quietly because Jeremy, producer Jeremy, you might hear his voice a little bit later. He just left the studio, and boy, oh boy, he's not going to hear this till. Well, I'll just tell him to skip by this part. We gotta get a new producer, Nathan. I can't take this.
I've been saying that this entire time.
I know. Well, I mean, God, I wish I was you in Florida. I have to be in a room next to this guy.
Man, it's so much better to be down here in Florida.
I know. I would rather be in the leper colony of your state. Let me tell you, this guy, we have the little mute button on our microphones. This guy is in the other room. That mute button's going to fall apart because he is farting to beat the band in that room. And he always has to mute it. That's why you don't hear it. He's launching big tooties every 5 seconds. I'm in here like, thank God I'm a professional because I need a gas mask for this thing. Okay. All right, he's got to come back pretty soon. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Network Special. I introduced myself and my co-host earlier.
Tell me this is a joke.
Bodine, I came by to tell you it's over between us. Well, Bing understands my needs. He wants to have a family right now. Bing and I we're getting married. I still want to be friends.
You're making a big mistake. I understand your needs. Think of what your kids will look like.
We are talking today about a very unseen pilot that was burned off on the Fox network in 1990 on July 25th, a half-animated, half-live-action sitcom pilot called Hollywood Dog. And boy, oh boy, is all I can say. This was something that I guess I'm sorry. I learned this. This is available, as far as I can tell, only on one link on YouTube. And it was recorded off of the Cleveland station that I actually work for. It's recorded off of WOIO in Cleveland.
Oh, wow.
This was considered like a lost TV special until it was uploaded by this YouTube user.
Wow.
Because people, I guess, were trying to track this down because it's one of those things that it's so specific and it's so strange that I guess it was really frustrating people trying to track it down because it just seemed like a fever dream to them because they couldn't find it anywhere or find references to it.
Yeah, people are talking about online like Hank Azaria, who plays the dog, Hollywood Dog. He mentions it in an interview or something, and people are like, "Is this thing even real?" Like all the things online, people are questioning whether or not it's even a thing.
Hollywood Dog, how to describe it? I'd say the only thing that's even come close in terms of tone is the Shangri-La Plaza.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Pilot.
It feels like that.
Because it has the same kind of forced whimsy, kind of like a live action cartoon, kind of like they're trying to channel Pee-wee's Playhouse, like goofy David Lynch kind of vibes. And you can only capture those vibes if you're a genius or you really capture lightning in a bottle, because I hate to skip to my review, but Hollywood Dog does not pull it off, I don't think.
No, this is just insanity. It is just, it feels kind of like, you know what? It kind of feels like it would be a sketch on the Tracy Ullman Show or something. like it seems like this. I feel like someone would do that, like Mr. Bill or something. Like this is just something you throw away because some guy was like, I really like, this is funny. I have a funny idea. And they're like, okay, just throw it on at the end.
This is the one for the writers, you mean? Like when SNL puts something right before they wave goodbye. And it's the thing to get a writer off their back who's been there for a while. Hollywood Dog, when I said half live action, half animated, first of all, just watch this. Just watch it on you. Wouldn't you say this is worth watching if you like bizarre TV?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So watch this so we don't have to sound totally crazy. This is all live action except for our titular Hollywood Dog. But we open at a gas station, and it's so clearly a desert in California until it's revealed that it's not. It's actually supposed to be Nebraska, but we start off in the desert of California in the big hills with shrub, just like Nebraska doesn't have. And we're at what looks like an abandoned gas station, and our hero is playing a guitar and writing sheet music. Do you remember that? He's like writing sheet music onto a piece of notebook paper, the way that you don't see people who play acoustic guitar doing. And it is our hero, Bodine Frank. And in the first 5 seconds, a hot car pulls up, a convertible, driven by a guy who looks like if Mr. T was white and a WWF wrestler. And Bodine's presumably girlfriend says she's marrying this guy and it's over, and she's leaving him.
Yep.
And then they drive away, and
she throws his ring. She throws his ring at him.
Yep. And then we see our hero announcing that he's going to move to Los Angeles. And his mother tearfully says, watch out for people there. They're animals. Oh, if only she knew, right? Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's
pretty
right.
good, pretty good. And then we get some stock.
And thankfully, there's a bus stop at the abandoned gas station.
Yeah. And we go to the gas station. There is something so insulting and depressing when it's adults trying to do this cartoon world stuff and they just don't have the budget or the vision to do it. It looks so sad because they're at this grimy bus station that they could afford to shoot at in LA, but it's this bright cartoony bus that he's on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you keep seeing the limitations of the budget.
It's like a bus from like the 50s or something. Like that's the style of bus.
Right.
An old Greyhound. A big aluminum can.
And then we quickly are taken to our main character's apartment, which is Hollywood Dog. And let me ask you this, Nathan. What does Hollywood Dog do? What's Hollywood Dog's job? What's his game? What does he want?
Okay. He's an agent, right?
Well, is he? He describes himself as an agent because he also promotes a concert for somebody he doesn't represent. At some point he says he's an agent, a promoter, an actor, but he's also friends with celebrities. And he also can, play music. And he's, I guess, not successful because he seems to be struggling for rent, except he is successful because we see that he can do a lot of things really well and he's friends with famous people. It doesn't make... Here, let me get this. I was thinking about this because I was going... Right off the bat, I'm going, this character doesn't work and I hate him.
Yes.
Immediately. Why do I feel such visceral revulsion to this character? And I was thinking, okay, what makes this kind of thing work? Think about like the Muppet Show, right? The game on the Muppet Show is there are these characters and they're delusional, right? Miss Piggy thinks that she's a beautiful model. Fozzie thinks that he can do this hysterical stand-up. They can't, like, they go out and they have these big aspirations and they kind of fall on their face But either they are convinced it went great and they're just kind of sweetly delusional, or they say it didn't go well and then all of their friends rally around them and they're very supportive because they're kind of a big team and they're just constantly trying their best. If the Muppets were convinced they were great and then they were great at things and also they were trying to cheat and swindle each other all the time, you wouldn't like the Muppets. They would be a very different show at the least. Like it would be a caustic show.
Yeah.
So Hollywood Dog.
It'd be like just everyone's Rizzo the Rat or whatever.
Yeah. If Rizzo wasn't funny.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Because Rizzo's game is that he's small and he can't get any respect. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Hollywood Dog, who looks a lot like that character Rude Dog. Remember Rude Dog clothes in the 80s? Okay. Mm-hmm. He looks a lot like that.
Very pointy nose.
Yeah. I actually like the design of Hollywood Dog. Well, I like that kind of like really 80s like Memphis graphic look.
Yeah. It looks like something you'd see on like a
one of my shirts.
Yeah. like a pair of like Jams.
Yes, he looks like a Jams design. But I guess he is a creation of a cartoonist, R.P. Overmeyer, who was a cartoonist for an L.A. newspaper for years and years. He died like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So we can't make fun of him. Just kidding. He does
please, we have to.
He does single panel cartoons. And how would you describe it? They're political cartoons unless they're not.
They're like The Far Side if The Far Side didn't have puns.
Oh, I don't think it's like an absurdist humor. Like it's either him talking about. Well, I saw the ones he had done before he died, and it's either him making fun of the Taliban, or Saddam Hussein, or.
But it's very literal. It's like
yes,
it's like a picture of George Bush, like drawn a picture, sometimes a real picture of George Bush, and it's like, here's what he's done wrong, and that's the joke. And then it's like a list of the things he's done, like bad president, shouldn't have gone to war. Like that is the joke. Like there's no like joke to it. So, I mean, it's like The Far Side without any joke. It's like The Far Side if like The Far Side wasn't saying jokes when they talk to each other.
Right, but sometimes it's about politics, but other times it's just like Hollywood Dog sticking his face between somebody's breasts.
Yeah. I know. It's called Hollywood Dog, but I went through maybe like 20 of these things.
Yeah.
And Hollywood Dog's in like 3 of them. Okay.
Yes.
And all of the other ones, it's like a picture of like a cat and it just says like mad cat disease or something because it's mad cow is happening at the time. And then it's like, or it'll be like mad cow disease. And then like the cows are saying like, I voted for Bush. You know, it's like that is the level of what's going on here. And Hollywood Dog's only in like 3 of them. Now maybe these are just a collection of them and Hollywood Dog's all over it. But I don't know.
I assume in the 80s it was more Hollywood Dog centric and maybe he got more political as
he got older.
As he got older, yeah, I would guess. I mean, the guy was born in the 40s.
But even the Hollywood Dog ones aren't funny.
I didn't say they were funny.
It's like Hollywood Dog is like in a spa in a limo, like a David Lee Roth style limo with girls, and it just says Hollywood Dog is prepared for the traffic. Like that's the joke. Like it's so I was looking all over for who did he know? Who
is this guy? Oh,
like who did he know
that
gave him this freaking show? Because the show is like it doesn't even. I don't know.
He lived in L.A.
Understand.
I'm sure he knew a ton of people in production, and it's a newspaper strip. Like think of all the
greenlit.
Think of all the chronically unfunny newspaper strips that started in the 40s or the 50s, and they just sat there forever, and nobody liked them. Like High and Lois. Nobody's like, oh, I mean, I love when I feel glum, I need to get my daily grin with seeing what Chip and Dot are up to. So I think Hollywood Dog, he was an LA fixture and he probably just was there locked in and he was just part of the fixture like an old faucet at that paper.
But do you think that celebrities around town like when you hear about South Park, like when they made their first cartoon, like George Clooney got it and he's handing it on to all his friends.
No. Well, there's no celebrities there's one sort of celebrity in this. I'm talking about people in production.
Yeah,
and also consider that Who Framed Roger Rabbit had come out 2 years before. And this is definitely trying to bite off the Who Framed Roger Rabbit apple, because it's a tune in Hollywood, making Hollywood jokes, making the laziest public domain sitcom LA jokes.
Do you think that someone was like, listen, we need no one, we should do something like Roger Rabbit for TV. Like, what could we do? And then some guy was like, oh, I love this little comic of this dog I see all the time, a Hollywood dog. Maybe we can get him as a thing.
Yeah, it's an established property and it's cheap. And I'll bet you this guy was pitching this show forever.
So you think he's even involved in the show?
Oh yeah, he's involved in the show. It's his character. He was alive.
Is he? No, but is he writing it?
Let's see. I don't think he's not a credited writer. The guys who wrote this, one of them was a writer for The Muppet Show.
Okay.
And the other one is now the head writer on Fuller House. So they're both making more money than we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
It all started with a dog.
He was a writer. He was the third writer on this.
Oh boy. Do you think that those two are like, look, he's coming to the room today, the writer's room today. Just indulge him.
100%.
And then when he leaves, we'll rewrite this whole thing.
And then they didn't.
Yeah, they just left it. Okay, so let me ask you: who's the woman who runs the hotel?
Who is she?
That Hollywood Dog lives in. Who is the actress that plays her?
That's Conchata Farrell, who is on 2.5 Men. So she has way more money than we do.
Okay. Well, I don't judge. I'm not judging. I'm not comparing my lives in terms of money, but
I do.
No, she looks familiar to me.
Oh, she's been in tons of stuff, and
yeah.
I mean, she's the fourth lead on 2.5 Men.
Okay.
So you've seen her on ads for things.
Right. That was the only person I recognized in this.
Same. She has a great voice.
Except for Hank Azaria's voice, who is the...
Right.
Can we talk about his Hollywood Dog's nemesis in this?
We're just about to get into that. We were so full of ire about everything else that... Okay, so Hollywood Dog's in his apartment. Again, we always say this. These pilots, the plot points are just barrel past you. So I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm being too quick with this. This is how quick it is in the show. Hollywood Dog is in his apartment. He's on the phone. He has booked a concert to play at the apartment complex that he lives in. And the person who he has booked is dropping out. The landlord's son, who hates Hollywood Dog, is listening at the door. And he hears that the musician is dropping out. And so he knows that he won't be getting the month's rent. Hollywood Dog's neighbor across the hallway then comes up and startles the landlord's son. So that's how we're introduced. The landlord's son then goes into the apartment to yell at Hollywood Dog. Hollywood Dog has flattened himself onto a picture of himself on the wall to hide from the sun. He unpeels himself and jumps out the fire escape into his convertible, which I'm now realizing I think is the same convertible they rented for the boyfriend at the beginning of the show.
Okay.
And then in a move that is sure to turn off the parents of the children who would be the only people wanting to watch this, Hollywood Dog picks up 2 bras out of the car and he goes, a pair of twins. And he throws them in the back seat of his car and speeds away. Cut to commercial.
Okay, what can we talk about Hank Azaria's voice in this? Like, like Hollywood Dog. Like, is he just like, hey, man, it's Hollywood Dog? Like, how is he? What's his voice? His voice.
He's a notch off of Moe from The Simpsons. Because he's kind of doing this. But he's a little younger version of Moe, which he said is a impression of Al Pacino from the 70s.
Okay.
So he's kind of doing that. Hank Azaria is a really, really talented voice actor because even though this is just a twinge off from his Moe voice, it's not Moe. He's really talented at the voice acting challenge of taking a voice and being really consistent with it and having a personality for each thing.
And this is what got him roles on The Simpsons, right?
He had never done a voiceover until this.
Yeah.
And then his agent heard that they were casting for The Simpsons, and it was the only person she had who had just done a voiceover. So she recommended him.
Yeah.
And that's how he started The Simpsons. So it's a good thing that Hollywood Dog exists.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't be on the show, and it would be poorer for it.
Right. Yeah. The character who is playing the son of the hotel or the apartment owner is like he kind of looks like, in my mind, he kind of makes me think of Pee Wee Herman's nemesis in the movie.
Yeah.
Francis. He reminds me of Francis, not as big.
He's a little Francis. Like he's a little Meatloaf.
Yeah, yeah. And he's real like New York-y kind of like accent, which I don't get. Like, okay, I understand. We talked about this, I think, in the Shangri-La one. Why is it that someone who's always sneaky and low class, all of a sudden they have you get a New York voice if you have that personality?
Right. Yeah.
Like, they live in California. He should be having the same voice as any of the people living in California.
It's the laziest choice you can possibly make with this character.
Yeah. But he's like, hey, dog. Hey, Hollywood dog. Dog, where? Hey, dog, I hear you in there, doggy. I thought, like, when he was at the door, I was thinking, like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen. Like, no one believes that this dog can talk.
Mm-hmm.
But he's trying to catch him out.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know?
Because yes. Okay, so that is another big problem with this show. Hollywood Dog is an animated character. Why? He's not a cartoon. It's not like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where there's tunes that act in cartoons that we see as movies. He's just a cartoon dog. There's no other cartoons living among humans that we see in this show.
Right. And
nobody reacts to it other than the person who is new in town.
And they don't act like he's a real dog that talks, or they don't act like he even says, like, when he first meets the hero character, like the hero character's looking at him like, this is strange. He goes, what? Do I look a little animated to you?
Yeah.
And he like just so like everyone knows that he's actually a cartoon and that he's a dog.
Yes.
Like there's and no one is amazed by it. At the most, they're like, huh, what do you know?
But there's nothing about him that's like a dog, much like Puchinsky. The only time that he is like a dog is when it's a possibility for a lazy joke. Like, oh, do I have kibble in my teeth? Like, that's about the max that he's a dog. And also,
exactly.
Hollywood Dog predates the genie in dog that, like, does celebrity impressions and his head turns into whatever he's talking about. Like, if he's talking about a barbecue, his head turns into fire.
Yeah, right.
It's really annoying.
It ashes away, like his head disappears.
Yeah, it would be
because it burns off.
If this was an endearing character, it would be like cool, but he's so obnoxious.
I feel like that's one of those things where they created these. This is the Roger Rabbit syndrome, right? Like where they created things for him to do and say so that they could create a prop that moves because of the dog, right? Like when his head burns, like you see a cartoon fire, but then you see real smoke
Yeah.
coming from it.
Yes.
Or like he's always running around things and then a tree's moving. Like
Right.
I feel like they're setting him up for these things so that they can be like, look at this movie magic.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact. I thought that all the interaction with the human world was going to be way lazier than it was in
No,
here.
it works. It works in this.
It works. The guy who directed this, whose name is, pardon me, let me back up here. I'd hate to not give him a shout out. William Deere, who wrote, produced, and directed Harry and the Hendersons and directed Angels in the Outfield. So he's had a career and he knows what he's
And he has more
doing.
money than you and I.
He has more money in the bank than me.
I mean, to be fair, Jesse, the MTV VJ, might have more money than I did.
Jesse Camp?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I saw footage of
Wait,
Jesse
is-
Camp lately, and I don't think
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he is a methadone addict.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
know he's in trouble. That was
Yeah.
that was my joke. But I just
Oh,
couldn't
real
remember
funny.
he was alive.
Wow,
I
real
couldn't
funny.
I couldn't
Jeremy,
remember
mark
if he was
that
alive,
time.
so I couldn't remember if he was alive, so I couldn't commit fully to it.
Okay, we're back from commercial. The last commercial played, which was for Cops in Vegas.
Oh gosh.
One of my least favorite shows of all time, Cops.
Yeah.
Oh boy, and if you think Cops went crazy in other places, you should see them smashing apart people's windows in Vegas.
They're going nuts in this. Like they're showing footage like we're supposed to be like, oh my gosh, these freaking criminals. But I'm like, oh my gosh, these freaking cops. I'm like, the cops are the criminals in this.
Okay, we go back. The woman who lives across the hall from Hollywood Dog is painting a mural on the wall of the apartment along with her little brother. Apparently, she just lives with her little brother in this apartment. She looks like she's in her mid-20s and her little brother is, 11, would you say?
Yeah.
And he's a horrible little kid actor. Terrible kid actor. And also, the little brother, his only game is something we've also seen on a lot of other pilots, which is the child who really wants to get their sibling laid. Like he's constantly trying to get his sister to have sex with the protagonist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Slow down, you two.
Son of the landlord tells the landlord the dog isn't going to have the rent. The landlord goes, I'm going to have to throw him out. The little kid goes, oh no, you have to throw the dog out? This is the first time that somebody says the name of Hollywood Dog because the woman says, I like Hollywood Dog as much as the next person or something like that. And that's when I went, this character's name is Hollywood Dog? I thought it was the name of the show.
When the kid says something, like when the kid says that,
Yeah.
like that's where I realized, oh, everyone just accepts this premise.
But
There's
he refers
no
to him
mystery around the dog.
as right. Yes. And
That's where I realized it.
Right. So you thought everyone would just assume it was a dog that paid rent in an apartment, but could not talk.
No, I thought that they thought that there was a human there and the dog was pretending to have an owner.
Oh,
But he was the one making all the moves.
that's so much more logical and interesting than this show.
I know. I was so bummed when the kid's just like, oh man, I'm going to miss Hollywood Dog. I was like, I just typed in my notes, oh my God, this is insane. So I'm like, what? There's no way that this is a freaking show.
Yeah. And again, Hollywood Dog. You know how in Family Guy, Peter Griffin isn't named Family Guy?
Family Guy Griffin.
Okay. Hollywood Dog. He's trying to figure out how to get some money, and he sees Modine.
Bodine.
Yes, Bodine. Getting off of his bus, Hollywood Dog yells, you just won the recently moved to LA sweepstakes. And everyone on the bus with him starts clapping. This is one of the only times we see black people on this show, by the way. It's getting off the bus.
Everyone is like, it's like Hollywood Dog is like the most famous person in the world.
Yeah, right. I mean, is this also a good time to say, I wonder if, the Poochie episode from The Simpsons, one of the greatest Simpsons episodes of all time. I wonder if Poochie partially came out of Azaria talking about Hollywood Dog, because Hollywood Dog acts like Poochie and everyone responds to Hollywood Dog like he is Poochie.
I wonder about that. But don't you think that would already be part of the lore? Don't you think he would have said something already about that?
I don't know. I mean, he might have and just wasn't online somewhere. Yeah. Or he didn't want to kick Hollywood Dog, a nobody. Or
wait till the guy dies.
Or one of the writers saw Hollywood Dog and went, "Oh my God."
He was at the Museum of Television or whatever, the Paley Center.
I'm sure this tape, this George Clooney may not have been having people watch this at parties, but I bet you the tape of this went around to different people in LA as, can you believe this exists type of thing. Because the show has a budget. This must have been expensive, right?
I don't know. I mean, what do you have? So you're filming it live action. Yeah. You're creating all the props. You're creating all the movement, and then you're animating the dog. So,
and you have to figure out. It has to be single camera because you have to figure out the shots and pre-plan everything to where the dog's going to be. And it's not. There's no computer animation. Then it's all cell rotoscope stuff.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money. Even though they definitely had to cut corners in other places, it's not like the animation looks bad.
Which is, by the way, now you know why this even aired.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just canned.
It's money. Yeah. You even see the reflection of him in the floor. You see the cartoons reflection shining in the marble floor.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of detail.
There's no one who thought when they scheduled this, there was no one who thought, "Oh yeah, this is going to be a hit." They just thought, "Oh my gosh, we spent so much money on this. Throw this on Sunday night."
Yes.
Throw it on.
Sunday night, always
or
a
whatever
low-rated night. Oh, okay. I don't know what night it was, actually.
Yeah. Whatever night, let's see, what's the date? It was July 25th, 1990.
So he picks up Bodine, who remarks on the fact that he is an animated character. He says he wants to be a singer. Also, if Hollywood Dog is obnoxious and conniving and too much, the actor who plays Bodine, who I guess was a stand-up comic, he is bad.
Oh, gosh.
He's a bad, unlikable actor, and it really makes you appreciate people, the invisible art of being likable on camera, like a Tom Hanks, just kind of that effortless charm. And
he's like a really, really like his style, camp kind of style, like
interesting comparison. In what way?
In that, I'm trying to think of a better.
He doesn't look like him. He doesn't have long hair.
He doesn't look like him, but I mean, in that style of person, or like a like that. Like I feel like that's the kind of music he would have made.
We hear the kind of
Americana.
music he makes. Sure. I guess they wanted him because he looked all American, but he kind of he looks 80s boring. He's a boring actor.
He looks like a guy from Nebraska who just moved to LA.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So it works.
A guy.
By the way, this aired on a Wednesday.
He looks like every generic headshot of an actor. How about that?
Yeah, sure. John Cougar's not the right name. I'm trying to think of that very specific, like, I guess it would be more like a Marshall Crenshaw or something like that, like a very much like a rockabilly, but like very.
Wow,
very
you're giving him way too much personality. I would say he looks like Ryan Reynolds with no edges, like a smooth Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
We are not even 10 minutes into this episode in terms of describing it. It feels like we are because there's so much that happens. He goes, this is where I'm talking about, like, they tried to do too much, and I could see how maybe on the page it was going to read as kooky and like David Lynchy and clever, but it just is embarrassing looking because they walk into the apartment and there's stuff from the 50s and there's stuff from the 80s and the architecture's from the 40s, and there is a jazz drummer constantly drumming in the corner who's just like it's the gag where you walk in and you hear music and then it's it's like in Birdman, you turn the camera and you see there's actually a drummer in the property itself.
Yeah, it's and also in his room, it's revealed in Hollywood Dog's room. It's revealed that he is like 1,000,000 years old or something. Like he's like been with every celebrity of all time or something.
Yeah, he's an immortal.
And that's what it feels like. He's like got pictures of himself with every celebrity from every age.
Hey, I would love to talk about this, but we're jumping ahead. I want to talk about the identical twins, the homely redheaded twins that live,
I forgot.
And don't exist for any reason.
This is such a nothing show to me that all of it, like every part, like you could tell me about a scene and I would think it is at any time in this show.
That's true because one thing kind of barely leads to another. I was obsessed with all these choices because knowing that they came up with it and then somebody was tasked to make this all happen, and just like this series of decisions to put this on the screen. I mean, what I will skim over is Hollywood Dog is, hey, he's a real fast talker and he's always making up excuses. So he says that this Bodine guy is actually the musician that he was booking to play in the apartment that night.
And what was his name? Like Dave Rock or something?
The musician's name, it's something like
Dave Rock or something like that.
Yeah, something Rocka, or I don't know. It wasn't a pun. It wasn't a play on anything.
Well, I thought it was just like rock and roll music.
Yes, but the guy's name wasn't Hick Lager or something.
No.
So Hollywood Dog tells the woman who owns the place, this is him. He's going to play, but don't get too close to him because his ex-fiance burned the apartment down that he lived in, et cetera, et cetera. You know, Hollywood Dog is a liar and he's a manipulator, and that's why little kids love him so much, why he's a great protagonist for this show.
I know, is the kid, like, we're supposed to be rooting for Hollywood Dog.
Definitely. We're supposed to love this stinker.
And I'm not at any point in this.
No, he's terrible.
So he gets the guy, and he gets Bodine to play this guy, and he has him. He's got, I want you to sing your songs that you wrote. And then he does, and they're at the show, and he's a horrible singer.
You're talking about at the end, yes.
Oh, this is at the very end? I thought it was like,
no.
That's what I told you. Like, I don't, like, all of this runs together as happening in one parallel time universe.
There's that whole business. It's such a strange thing to focus on because, well, first of all, this dud of a lead has to make goo-goo eyes at the woman across the hall so they can meet cute. Right. And her brother is very hot to have them bone.
Yeah.
Then Hollywood Dog takes Bodine's money and his guitar.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
To get... For Hollywood Dog to get Hollywood Dog's cartoon guitar out of Hawk, and also he buys Bodine a new, better guitar so he can play the show that night. But of course,
I do
Bodine
not remember him leaving to get the guitar at all.
It's so uninteresting on a visual level and on a story level, but you have to have a reason for Bodine to get mad at Hollywood Dog, because Hollywood Dog stole my money.
Yeah.
Okay. But finally, oh no!
There's more?
I remember how he got here, because I'm like, what? How? Why did Bodine pretend to be blind? The son of the person who runs the hotel is listening in on Bodine and Hollywood Dog, and he hears Hollywood Dog say, "You're not the person who they think you are downstairs." The son comes in. He says, "Hollywood Dog, great. I have a reason to kick you out now." Hollywood Dog says, "You don't understand. I got a new performer, like Blind Willie Lame Legs," or whatever he says his name is. But the point is that he's blind. And the son says, "I don't believe you, Hollywood Dog. I'm going to kick you out." Bodine sees the guitar Hollywood Dog has bought him and is so touched by this that he puts sunglasses on and comes out of the room, pretends to be blind, and has a very fun, not at all racially tinged voice where he is acting like a blues musician. So then the son goes, "Oh, you do have a performer. Great." Then they go downstairs, and Bodine says, "I'm not going to play that guy anymore. I'm going on stage as me." There are so many levels to this scam that are not interesting and don't pay off. But the point is, at the end of all this, Bodine goes on stage, and he sucks. He's a bad singer.
Horrible.
He's a bad guitar player. So then Hollywood Dog jumps up and Johnny B. Goods it, and he's an electric guitar player, and he does a duet of this terrible song. And the crowd goes nuts for Hollywood Dog, because Hollywood Dog, even though he doesn't have any money and he's always falling apart, is really talented and good at everything at the same time. And I'm wondering, is part of this, I'm sure there's a lot of network notes because this clearly cost money and they weren't going to take any chances. But also, was the guy who drew Hollywood Dog, did he insist this dog can never look bad, or he can never be like bad at things? He needs to be super cool all the time?
I don't know. You're right that it's like, why didn't he just play the show? Why didn't Hollywood Dog just play the show? Everyone loves Hollywood Dog. He can make tons of money as a rock star.
Did you happen to see a picture of the guy who drew Hollywood Dog?
I did. Doesn't he look like a survivalist or something?
He looks like when David Cross plays a cool character on Mr. Show. Like he has a gray goatee soul patch, one of those curled up pork pie hats, and thick 50s glasses all the time. He looks like a daddy-o, like an LA daddy-o. So I could see that style of person insisting on Hollywood Dog being super cool.
I saw a different era of him than the picture I saw.
Oh, okay. Okay. So Hollywood Dog has saved the day, I guess, because the crowd likes the concert. Although if the crowd is paid for a concert, the place is going to get money regardless. If you book a show and it sells out, doesn't matter if the show sucks. People aren't going to go like, "Oh, well, I guess I have to give you your money back because the band wasn't any good."
Yeah, but you wouldn't come back to that venue, would you?
Yeah, probably, because the venue is not the band.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess. I don't know why anyone showed up anyways.
Right. For this
to begin
unknown person who Hollywood Dog made up.
Yeah. Isn't there a big sign outside his window, like advertising the show? Okay.
Yes, that the son throws away.
Oh, that's right.
So the last thing is Hank Azaria is in the show.
Yes.
And he walks up, and I could not tell if this was a person he's supposed to be lying or this was real. He said, "I'm Hollywood Dawgs representative." And I went, wait, Hollywood Dawg is also represented by a human?
No, he is totally trying to scam
Okay.
because that's why she laughs in his face.
Are you sure?
Yes, because he says I'm supposed to get paid up front or something. But she's just
Okay, so
laughing
it's not
about
it's
it.
her not buying it because that's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's my take on this, which is also another stupid gag.
Okay, so the last thing we have is, I guess, a peek at what the future adventures of Hollywood Dawg would have been, which was he's going to get Bodine a job as a cabana boy because babes go for guys with a dog. Again, everyone wants to see this guy bang somebody. They're desperate to see this guy.
Wait, what's a cabana boy?
Oh, a cabana boy is like a guy by the pool, but in LA, it kind of like has a sort of male prostitute bent to it. Like the boy who will rub suntan lotion on your back and that sort of thing.
So again, instead of becoming a rock star with his amazing guitar skills and knowing every celebrity, he decides to pimp out this guy. That's going to be how he makes his money.
Yes. And then he says, of course, Hollywood Dawg's catchphrase, "I like that."
Oh my gosh, this show sucks.
But I think anybody who is interested in crazy TV needs to watch it because this is somehow representative of 1990s television while also looking like nothing else that was on 90s television.
Look, if you can stomach listening to this episode, then you can stomach watching this show.
I can't disagree with that. In general, I think that's the rule for every episode we do.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing that I did think worked well was that this YouTube account also has all the commercials during the show. And at the end, in addition to showing the classic late 80s Minute Maid can, which looked great. I love any food product that has a black background. It just
me too.
looks so cool, and they don't do it anymore. I don't know why. They show an ad for Wendy's when Jetsons the movie was going to show on theaters before they realized, oh wait, nobody cares about the Jetsons. But it shows Dave Thomas, and did anyone pull off just like Dad as a spokesperson better than Dave Thomas? Just like no acting skill, but it seems endearing, and it doesn't seem like he was a monster who insisted on doing his own ads.
No, I loved him. I loved him in all these ads.
Everyone loved him. But you know what I mean? Like, car commercials are famous for this. Like, the car dealer insists on doing the ads, or he wants his daughter to do the ads, and they're just a snore on camera. Dave Thomas shouldn't work, but he works great.
Yeah, I think Wendy's was lucky to have him.
Especially, to start the restaurant, to be a spokesperson. I don't know if I've ever seen a picture of Dave Thomas young.
No,
Like as a young, svelte, hot man.
No. Don't even. Dave Thomas appeared on
In
Earth
grandfather
in that
form.
Yeah, and by the way, he's advertising the Super Bar, which is near and dear to my heart.
Jeremy,
and such a big miss.
Were you too young for Super Bar at Wendy's?
Is that like the salad bar thing that they had?
Yeah, where they had like macaroni and cheese and
They had it. Super Bar was a salad bar, and also it had a Mexican wing on the bar where there was like ground beef and nacho cheese and warm tortillas, and then you could put the salad stuff on your taco. Chocolate mousse.
I do vaguely remember this.
I mean, I can't imagine how unsanitary Super Bar must have been.
Oh, well, I mean, any bar, right?
I agree, but somehow in the middle of a a fast food restaurant like that, it seems like it would be even more just kind of like health casual.
I mean, can you imagine if it was still around today? It would have been another COVID casualty.
I don't like to think about it. Although Golden Corral just popped up on my feed, it's back.
You know, whenever I'm with my family, I always say, you know, if my mom were still around and if Super Bar was still around, they both would have been COVID casualties.
Can I ask you something? And this is kind of food related. When Hollywood Dog rips off Bodine's shirt in front of the girl,
yeah,
what did you think of those nipples?
You think they're very pepperoni-ish?
You said exactly what I thought. They're big.
I don't remember.
Big and brown.
I don't remember.
Oh, they're really big. Big areolas on that guy.
big brown nipples.
Yes. And very, very centered. Like the guy who works out, and the more you work out your chest, the closer together your nipples get. So they're very exact. Like they're really, you know how when they make Disney characters, they make sure the eyes fall in just the right area. It's like that. 4 sets of eyes looking at me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds like you dreamed about those nipples.
Well, no, I was watching the show and I closed my eyes and I realized I could still see them.
Yeah.
And then I turned off my TV and they had burned into the screen.
Yeah, you still have one of those like where you have the projector screens where you have to roll out the thing and it shines a red, green, and blue light.
Yeah, I have the red, green, blue lights.
You have to fold it open and it's like there's just brown nipples like burned into the white screen.
Yeah, so I have to get a new TV.
Yeah, I've been saying that.
If you want to help me get a new TV, make sure that we get sent all of our ratings bucks. So go on to whatever streaming device you listen to and rate, review, and subscribe to our show. It helps.
Yes.
Only 5-star reviews, please. And that makes sure I get at least 50 ratings bucks in my bank account. And thank you so much for joining us today. This was a genuine pleasure to talk about this horrible show. And so with that,
Absolutely.
everyone, bye.
Bye.